Heidi, hey, neighborinos. Welcome to another day of the Doug Trio podcast. That's the intro we're going with.
Or in this case, the duo again.
I don't know what to. Yeah, I do not know what to say about it. We wanted to have a third guest. We wanted to have a third member on here, but he doesn't seem to want to show up, so I guess it'll just be a Doug Duo podcast.
Or if somebody wants to take his place, just go ahead and drop down in the comments saying, I want to join.
This is a first comes, first serve, though, so by all means.
Right?
Anyway, for today's topic, though, we will be going over a Marvel discussion. Now, does Marvel Comics really need any introduction to any of you guys?
Nope.
Nope. It's one of the titans of comic book. It's one of the titans when it comes down to the comic book industry or entertainment industry in general. I can't talk.
Entertainment industry, they're really big on comics. You know, they've started the whole cinematic universe that literally inspired many, like Universal with its Dark Universe, DC with its DC Extended Universe, and the list goes on pretty much. Especially right now, it's kind of getting stale on the comic book side, but before then, you know, it was a really huge thing with their very popular story arcs like the Infinity Gauntlet, Civil War, Secret Wars, and the list goes on. Many popular characters: Spider-Man, Captain America, the Hulk, Thor, and Iron Man. It's Marvel is just a titan, you know, one of the best.
I wouldn't say they have a monopoly in it, though. That's Disney. Disney has a monopoly on that. But
Disney's the one doing the monopoly and buying pretty much any product they could get their hands on.
But it goes without saying, Marvel just has a huge legacy behind them.
Yes, they do. They've, you know, also been monumental on video games with the Marvel's Capcom series. Literally, like, who would have thought you would see Wolverine and Ryu like together in the same game? Like,
go ahead.
Like, it was a huge thing back then. I was literally freaking out in the arcade when I saw the damn arcade cabinet. I told my dad, Dad, Wolverine, Ryu, Cyclops, Ken.
This can't be real. This cannot be real.
I thought I was in a dream, but apparently I wasn't.
Just the whole idea to me, though, it's even though the series has been around for over 20 years, it's still a marvel. No pun intended.
It is.
It's such.
Go ahead, sorry.
No, it's fine. It's still like unbelievable that that's still a thing to this day.
Yeah, it's been going strong ever since, thanks to one man, and that man is Stan Lee.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, he literally made every single character in the list. He's created Spider-Man, you know, and ever since then, it was a huge thing. Like, I think I remember the story where Stan Lee literally brought the idea of Spider-Man to when he worked at DC, I believe. I guess they said it was a stupid idea. Look what happened now.
Well, that's always like the great turning point, though, whenever it comes down to stories, though. You remember, like, I know there was one company, though, I think it was Disney for a long time, but they were brought up with the opportunity, though, to have, like, I think ownership or stock, or at least a high amount of stocks when it came down to Star Wars merchandise. But at the time they said no. Boy, was that a huge mistake.
Mm-hmm. Star Wars is a huge thing now. Speaking of Star Wars, Marvel publishes their comic books.
Again, it's always the big stories that always start off with, I took this idea to someone and they said no. Now look where the hell I am.
Right.
But anyway, though, so I guess we've already given our small overview of it, even though we said we weren't going to give an overview. Oh well.
Oh well. Let's go ahead and talk about pretty much our pinpoints that we've come up to with the... I can't talk neither.
No worries. I've become a bad influence.
For real. It's okay though. We that's go
We
ahead.
we do this monthly though. This is all just for fun. You want to expect professional podcast commentary? Well, you're awfully picky, I noticed for that.
Right.
But
But
anyways,
anyway, let's go ahead and go with start. We're gonna start off with the history of Marvel, and then from there, we're just gonna pretty much talk about any comics we've read from Marvel, notable characters, talk about the video games, the MCU, the fanboy wars between Marvel and DC, and something that's literally a thing that's going around with Stan Lee, like as of today.
yeah, but we won't spoil for that. But I guess but I guess to start off though, now I think it's kind of no shocker though between the both of us though that you Ernesto seem to have a bigger history with Marvel as a whole than I
Uh,
ever will. So,
well, um,
by all means,
shoot.
go completely ham on it.
All right, where do I begin? Well, Marvel wasn't Marvel before. Marvel before was. Let me see if I could try to remember this. Um, Sorry guys.
Take your
So
time.
pretty much Pulp magazine publisher Martin Goodman founded the company later known as Marvel Comics but before it was Marvel Comics, it was actually called Timely Publications in 1939. Goodman, who had started it with a Western pulp in 1933, was expanding into emerging and by then already highly popular new medium comic books, launching his new line of his existing company's offices at 33 was it 330 West 42nd Street, New York City.
Ooh, you even got the
he
street name down. You must have did your homework there.
Yeah. I'm looking this up on Wikipedia.
Oh, never mind.
uh, he officially held his titles editor and managing editor and business manager with Abraham Goodman, his brother pretty much, officially listed as a publisher. Timely's first publication was Marvel Comics #1. The comic was pretty much like, I don't know, some guy in a green sweater. Um, and like comic books back then were just like 10 cents, so it was really crazy and stuff. But yeah, it was
Now they're being
literally,
sold for twice that price.
yeah. So again, the first comic came out. It was called Marvel Comics #1. It came out in October 1939, uh, which the cover art was made by Frank R. Paul. It was just kind of showed like a guy in a green sweater, like he was pointing a gun at this guy who's like literally on fire and stuff like that. So it included. So you guys could say that this is literally the first superhero named the Human Torch, and it was and it also introduced an anti-hero by the name of Namor, the Submariner.
Name more?
Yeah, Namor. And very interesting fact though, Namor came first, and then came Aquaman. So DC ripped off Marvel there.
Oh, hold on. We're not into the fanboy wars yet. Save the
Oh
jabs
my
in between the different
god.
companies for that session.
Right. I don't know any full detail about like what was the story pretty much, but the issue back then was a huge success, and a second printing the following month sold the combined nearly 900,000 copies.
Not
So that back
900?
then was 900,000 copies. That was a huge thing back then.
It still is. 900,000? Oh my god.
Yeah, this is literally like the first comic book. Everyone saw it. I'm like, oh, what is this? Let me read this. And then they called up their friends and everything. You got to read this. Just became a huge success.
It's like a book, but interesting. Now,
Right?
Go
So
ahead.
now we're gonna go ahead and go all the way to the beginning of World War II. Um, the company's first true editor, writer, artist, Joel Simon teamed up with Jack Kirby. Many of you guys know Jack Kirby as wasn't he the creator? Hmm, I'm trying to remember who Jack. I want to say it, but I just don't.
Jack,
Did he create Batman?
I know a Mr. Kirby, but that doesn't have anything to do with Marvel.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying though, he's most notably known for being the creator of anyway. So Jack Kirby to create one of the first patriotic themed superheroes. He is none other than Steve Rogers, aka Captain America. If
Hmm.
anyone knows this cover, it's literally a guy in a star-spangled suit punching the hell out of Hitler. This was a huge thing. And ever since then, it's been a monumental success. Captain America literally has been back then literally sold like hotcakes. Not only for like civilians, but people who were like, in combat as well, just in case, they're like taking a break, they just kind of sit down and read the comic book and stuff, taking
Moral
a break from
support.
all. Yeah, pretty much moral support and everything. And yeah, it literally, this thing literally like freaking, I think it's worth a lot now. So it's very rare.
So hey, talk to your
But
grandparents if they
yeah,
still have a copy. If they do, you might want to hold on to it for about 20 years or so.
right. But yeah, shoots. Should I keep going with the history?
By all means, hey, go right ahead though. I mean, I got nothing else, too much else to say about our history with Marvel as a whole. But go right ahead.
Alrighty then. So, let me see what else here. Hmm. So yeah, and then after that, um, I think we'll go ahead and skip over to 1961. Writer-editor Stan DeManley revolutionized superhero comics by introducing superhero design to appeal to older readers than the I don't know,
The
pretty much
primitive,
children,
yeah,
the younger demographic, pretty much.
adolescents.
Modern in 1961, they created their first superhero team, which is the Fantastic Four, back in November of 1961. Broke convention with other comic book archetypes of the time by squabbling, holding grudges, both deep and petty. So pretty much they were kind of going for like a darker tone and stuff. And Squish, uh, shoot, I'm just reading this off, but
Much like the Fantastic Four, you mean nothing to me.
right.
Okay, anybody gets that quote?
Yeah, but I'm just gonna go ahead and fast forward. Ever since then, Stan Lee has created Spider-Man. Many of you guys read the story pretty much. I remember when I read the comic book, literally, I think I got it from, I guess, because, back then, like, they did like a toy line. I think it was called Marvel Legends. And
Hmm.
inside that action figure came with like comic books and stuff. So they had a Spider-Man figure that had the first Spider-Man comic book and stuff. And then,
Hmm.
the story pretty much, like he got bit by a radioactive spider. He he got like spider-like abilities. He could like walk. I can't talk today. Crawl through wall,
Crawl through
crawl on
walls.
wall. Yeah, crawl on walls. He's made like web shooters and everything. He made a costume pretty much like a spider, and then he became Spider-Man and stuff. And then, it cost him it literally, he wanted to prove that, he was a big deal. So, he entered like a wrestling thing against, just some wrestler. And then he beat him. But, I mean, he never got really huge money for it. So I guess there was this burglar. He robbed the wrestling promoter, and then Spider-Man pretty much refused to like stop him. And then it cost his uncle. And then that was literally like really dark. And then, he went out for revenge, and then he found out that his uncle's murder was the same guy who's robbed the wrestling promoter. And, ever since then, he's lived with regret, but he'll never forget what his uncle told him before he died. And that was, with great power comes great responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
And what that pretty much means, just use your powers just use your powers for good, pretty much. And if you use your powers wrong, then you'll have a great response. Like, you'll be responsible for it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I mean, depending on what source though, or what canon you're getting this from, though, because I know there's multiple different Spider-Man series that have different timelines or stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm just going with like the original, pretty much, like the first comic book that Spider-Man appeared, which is Amazing Fantasy.
Yeah,
I
I
forgot
get
the
what you mean.
number. Yeah. But yeah, ever since then, Marvel has just been a really huge thing in comic books with their storylines like Secret Wars, the Infinity Gauntlet, which spawned the ever popular Infinity War movie. You had Civil War, where pretty much Captain America just didn't want to sign up to the government because the government felt like superpowered beings literally were a threat, and Captain America refused. And literally, there's a huge thing, like Captain America refusing a government when this guy literally represents that is America.
Mm-hmm.
And ever since then, just going up against like Iron Man and everything, and then it was just a huge thing. And
He's a true American citizen.
What happened?
Oh, I was just making a joke. That shows he's a true American citizen when he doesn't, respond to being controlled by the government. But that's a very conservative standpoint, though. If anybody got that joke I was trying to make.
But yeah, there's other great storylines and everything, and it's just ever since then, Marvel never looked back. Go ahead and forward into the future. We now have the MCU. We now have pretty much animated series. We now have TV shows and everything, and all those characters inspired by many, and kids and adults alike. So that's pretty much a brief history of the history of Marvel Comics.
Okay, what would you have to say? Mr. I do not know your last name, but I'm not.
Mr. Espinosa.
Mr. Espinosa, though, what would you have to say is your history with the company, or I guess product, of Marvel?
Well, first comic book that I read from Marvel would probably be back like in 1996 or 7. I remembered my cousin.
Oh, hey, that was around the year I was born.
Oh, really?
No, go right ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, I understand. But yeah, I think the first comic book you've ever introduced me to was, get ready to like be wowed, The Punisher.
You were a Punisher kid back then?
Yep, that was my first. Not only that was actually honestly my first like R-rated comic book too, and stuff. Was it? Oh no, I take that back. It was actually Wolverine, because he was a fan of Wolverine and stuff, and ever since then I've just been a big fan of the X-Men series and everything. Literally, like, X-Men has just been a really popular thing in my life, especially like in the animated movie and the animated shows. Wolverine, Cyclops, Nightcrawler, Colossus, Jean Grey, Storm, Professor X, their villains, Magneto, Mystique, Juggernaut. The list goes on. Sabretooth. But yeah, the list goes on. Ever since
Lady
then, I just been
Deathstrike.
Lady Deathstrike. Yeah, ever since
I think
then.
there's isn't there one named X-23, or am I thinking of something
Yeah,
else?
X-23. That's the daughter of Wolverine. Or daughter slash clone. I just
Daughter
everyone
clone.
says, yeah, pretty much. Like she, I guess, because they got the DNA from Wolverine, and they made it like an exact copy
Well,
of
exact
him, which
copy,
is like a
quote unquote.
girl, and then yeah, but yeah, it was Wolverine. Ever since then, I've just been a really huge X-Men fan. Grew up with the animated shows. I grew up, playing the X-Men video games like Mutant Apocalypse, the fighting game that Capcom made, X-Men Children of the Atom and stuff. And, ever since then, I played the action figures and everything. It was just a really fun time. And then like when I heard that we're going to make the first movie, I was like, wow, like they did such a good job with the movie. I was like so amazed and everything. Um,
So
and
long, bub.
ever since then, I just been a really huge X-Men fan. But not only X-Men, I've always, liked when my cousin did introduce me to my first R-rated comic book, which was, The Punisher and stuff. He literally introduced me to like other R-rated comic books like freaking Ghost Rider, Spawn. I know he's not Marvel, but yeah, he introduced me to him. But yeah, ever since then, it's like he showed me the dark side of comic books. So yeah. But ever since, I've always liked, Spider-Man because Spider-Man's just awesome and stuff. I remember watching its animated series and, hearing about them making a movie. I was just so hyped up, Marvel, like, I'm not really a fanboy of any, like, I'm not really a fanboy of anything. I like both companies. I just, Batman's my favorite superhero and all, but I could tell you who's my second favorite superhero, Spider-Man.
There you
So
go.
yeah, yeah. I'm not really a big fanboy of like anyone. So, I like both of them just the way they are.
Hey, by all means, though, I ain't gonna be the one though to rain on your parade or anything like this, or tell you who you should like though, or who you should be fanboying of, anything like that.
Right. And what is your history in Marvel comics?
Well, mine's pretty short though, to be completely honest. As of a lot of people of recent times, though, I got into Marvel though mainly through the MCU. I think it was roughly around when Captain America: The First Avenger came out. So I don't know. I guess 5 years or so. Not really that long. But it was through the MCU though. I remember my mother wanted to go see Captain America though, so I figured, okay, why the hell not? I figured
Uh-huh.
I'll get some fun out of that though, and we saw it and we liked it.
Hmm.
Which to me was kind of surprising though, because I was not expecting my mother to enjoy a superhero esque film though. But no, she thought it was fine for what it was.
Oh, okay.
But anyway,
Ever
after
since,
oh, go ahead.
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
But afterwards though, I saw the Avengers, and well, we all know though how big of a success though the first Avenger movie was.
Oh, damn. It was a huge success.
A giant success though, a little too big of a success to some people, but oh well. But I remember seeing the first one, thinking, okay, you know what? I'm hooked on this though. Show me any of the others movies, and I'll go see them though. Just considering just how much fun the movie was, I'm thinking, dang. Now I can see why there's so many people who are a huge fan of comic books, though. Because, not to say anything bad or towards it, though. But when I was younger, I was always one of those kids who was never big into comics, though. Who always just preferred cartoons or video games or anything like that to comics. And from the looks of it, I wasn't the only one who was like that, though. So, oh well. I was kind of almost, you can even say, dismissive towards the idea of it, though. But, as time gets on, though, you get older, though, and you start seeing the brighter side of things. I'm thinking, you know what, though? I'm starting to see the brighter thing. I'm starting to see it from this angle, though. And you know what? This is pretty good. I'm liking this.
Yeah.
You get what I
It's
mean,
like
though.
once you start getting older, you try new stuff, and then like you're kind of like, oh, why did I grow up with this when I was a kid. You know what I mean?
Hmm. It's like it's like describing. It's like going to a restaurant that you were always incredibly dismissive of because you didn't think it looked that good, and then like 6 years later, you finally decide to go check it out. You go there and you end up loving it. That's the feeling I
Yeah.
got though when. That's the feeling I got though when I started like seeing like any of the comic book movies and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But I guess in terms of actual Marvel comics, the only one I remember reading though was this Deadpool one though, and believe it or not, it was a Deadpool comic where I think he was going against what was it? It wasn't Venom, but it was Carnage. There we go. It was Deadpool versus Carnage, and this was a kid was reading this during a church service. Believe it or not, though, so
Really?
this
A
kid was
Deadpool comic at church.
he was reading a Deadpool comic at a church service, and I went up to him asking what he was reading, and he showed me it. Though it was a nice comic from what I remember. Though it had a lot of Deadpool's meta fourth wall breaking humor and stuff like that, and I remember liking it, but I didn't check it out too much afterwards. So oh well. So I don't have much in the form of a comic book history though for what Marvel has kind of been known for a long time about. But aside from that though, I haven't, in all honesty, I have not played a single Marvel related video game. The most I've seen though is mainly just gameplay footage videos though from Maximilian Dude and various other Let's Players though. But from the looks of it though, the game seemed fun. I mean,
Yeah, there's really good Marvel games out there. Before then, though, Marvel games haven't really had a lot of success because I think in the beginning, they Marvel gave the video game rights to LJN, the worst, the worst video game publisher ever. Thank God they're dead now. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Not to
LJN,
say every game they published is bad. There was that one Spider-Man game, but they haven't exactly hit
Maximum
many
Carnage.
home runs.
Yeah, Maximum Carnage was like actually the first good Marvel game, so and then ever since then, Marvel's realized, oh, you know what? I don't think LJN's pulling it off. I mean, they've only made one good video game, so it's like, you know what? Let's give it to that one company that makes fighting games called Street Fighter.
Like I can see some potential of that. We have all these series that are known for fighting. They're making video games about fighting. Let's give it a shot. And what do you
Like,
know?
they-
It was a huge
like
success.
Yeah, like they literally said, "Oh, let's give it to that one company that makes a platforming game about a blue bomber or a fighting game where everyone throws projectiles and stuff like that." Ever since the success of Street Fighter 2, the World Warriors, like Marvel has noticed, and so they just gave it to them and everything. And Capcom has made good. And this is at the time, actually, Capcom was also given the rights to make Disney games too. But I could say right now that Capcom has really, like, literally made really good Capcom games. Just like besides the Marvel's Capcom series, they've created
Marvel superheroes.
Marvel's the fighting game Marvel Superheroes, Marvel X-Men Children of the Atom. This is literally like the prequel of the Marvel's Capcom series, those two games. But before then, they've also made which is called Marvel Superheroes War of the Gems, pretty much another game that takes place in the Infinity Gauntlet. I think they also made an X-Men game, Mutant Apocalypse, pretty much the same concept with War of the Gems as well and
Did-
stuff. And then
Didn't they
yeah,
Didn't they make an X-Men game called
What?
Clone Wars, or was that a different company?
uh, I think that was a different company because Clone Wars.
Because it was on the
Uh,
Genesis, I believe, though. But maybe it was a different company. But I remember
Yeah, it
hearing
was
good things about that game.
Yeah, it was a different company actually.
But anyway, go ahead.
But yeah, and ever since then, it's just, it kind of sucks that, after Capcom, just Marvel, after, it became like, because before then Marvel wasn't really huge because Marvel would give movie rights to other, studios, like X-Men. They gave it to, 20th Century Fox.
Mhm.
They
Which has had
gave
which has had mixed results from what I've heard.
Yeah, and then they've uh, we'll get to the X-Men movies later. But and then you had Spider-Man. They gave it to Sony and Columbia Pictures and stuff, and they gave the Hulk to um, Universal. They held on with the other characters, but some of the movies that those uh, studios had given, there were some hit and misses and everything. But ever since then, um, gosh, I went off topic. I was talking about video games, wasn't I?
Oh no, by all means, go right ahead. Hey, you're having fun.
Yeah,
Have fun.
yeah, but I mean, I'm just saying though, like before Marvel wasn't very popular, but when it started getting very, very popular and stuff, that's when, like they just kind of like they got the video game rights back from Capcom, and that's why there hasn't been like another Mars Capcom games like for like 10 years.
Oh my
I
God.
think they've
We'll get to Marvel versus Cap. We'll get into Marvel versus Capcom's current state in a little bit.
Yeah. And then ever since then, they've just been giving it with other companies, like in the more modern games, like, the PlayStation 2, the 3, 4, Xbox 360, Xbox One, and all that stuff. There were a few hit and misses, like most notable ones personally love after Capcom. I love Spider-Man 2 for oh my god, Spider-Man 2, the game based off the movie of
Movie.
the same name. Yeah, of the same name and stuff. That was a good one. I didn't like that new X-Men game. I think it was
Wait, was it for the Wii
where I
and
think you
360?
create your yeah, it was a I forgot what it's called. It's
Oh,
where like I think you
I
like,
know what you're talking about. Dang.
create your own mutant or something like that, and then like
Yeah, it was something like that though, and I hear there was like a bunch of legal issues about like the engine that was used to make the game or something like that. Because I remember seeing it in like a Proton John video or something like that.
it was called oh yeah, X-Men Destiny. That was
Destiny,
what
there
it's
you
called.
go. That's what it was called.
Yeah, that was a really bad game. But yeah, but I love to talk about this game series that I really wish that Marvel would bring back. Marvel Ultimate Alliance. Oh my god, dude. Marvel Ultimate Alliance is literally my favorite Marvel game. Like they literally took like all the superheroes to team up to stop, in the first one they had to stop Doctor Doom and the Masters of Evil. Pretty much Doctor Doom, gathered up pretty much all the villains of the Marvel universe and stuff, and they had to stop them and everything, and it was pretty crazy because like the choices you make could affect like the future because there's like multiple endings and stuff like that. um and then of course Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2 was based off of Civil War, where Captain America, you had to choose a side, either Team Captain America or Team Iron Man stuff. And of course Captain America has the heroes for hire, which is Luke Cage and Iron Fist on their side. So pretty much Captain America is like the main guy, and Iron Fist and Luke Cage are like, like the commanders pretty much of his team. And you had Iron Man's side, which, he had the support of Reed Richards, aka Mr. Fantastic, and Songbird,
Songboard.
Songbird. But yeah, and ever since then, like ever since then, they hadn't made a Ultimate Alliance game ever since, and I love for them to like actually make another Marvel Ultimate Alliance game, because dude, if they do, they have to make one of the Infinity Gauntlet story arc, like Infinity War pretty much. But I did hear that Square Enix is making like an Avengers game. Like this
Ooh.
game literally was announced like back in, I think, E3 last year or 2 years ago, I believe, and we just never really heard anything from it. Like I don't think, like there's rumors saying that Square Enix is gonna I don't know what Square Enix is doing. Like they're literally taking too long for the freaking Final Fantasy 7 and freaking Kingdom Hearts 3 to come out. So, I don't know. Like they're literally delaying this game too. So, I just really want to see like a gameplay footage of how this Avengers project that Square Enix is gonna do. You know, is it gonna be like Kingdom Hearts where I don't know, freaking what was his main, what was the main guy's name from Kingdom Hearts again? I
Sora?
forgot.
Sora?
Yeah, like I don't know if Sora's gonna be in the MCU or something. I don't know.
That would be
But yeah,
amazing if that was the case. I know my friend who's a huge Kingdom Hearts nut would go nuts for that.
right. Like, hey, it makes sense since freaking Disney owns Marvel. So, I mean,
Hmm.
why not make like a MCU style freaking level for Kingdom Hearts 3?
By all means, I would. I know tons of people who would buy that.
Right, freaking, I've seen footage of. Well, I'm not gonna go off topic, talking about some other game, but yeah, but we haven't heard anything from Square Enix. I guess we'll find out in E3 if they're ever gonna, decide, if we're gonna see a gameplay footage of the Avengers project that Square Enix is gonna do. But yeah, so that's what I'm just looking forward to. Video games have just been a few hit and misses and everything, but hey, it's the same thing with like other comic book companies and their video games.
Hmm. So, we've already brought this up 100 times, though, but let's just bring on to the big one. The Marvel vs. Capcom series. What do you have to say of special note when it comes down to the MVC series?
Well,
Do
it
you
was a
want to?
huge thing. Like I've mentioned earlier, video that X-Men versus Street Fighter was a very huge thing. When everyone found out about it, they were going nuts. They're like, "Oh my God, who would have known that Wolverine would fight against Ryu from Street Fighter and stuff?" But I mean, ever since then, it's just been a huge success and everything, especially in the competitive scene. After that, we had Marvel Superheroes versus Street Fighter, and then that was a really huge thing too. I remember I played the heck a lot of that game. This is like literally the introduction of my favorite team that I like to use, which was Ryu and Spider-Man.
Ooh.
Oh my God, dude. I was such a beast with that team. But yeah. And then after that, we got Marvel versus Capcom. And then Marvel versus Capcom 2. Like
Excuse
those
me.
games were monumental in the competitive scene. Sold a lot of copies. Like literally today, if you go to like a retro store, these games would be expensive. But luckily, there's this retro store that sells them for cheap. So once I ever get the feeling to play Mars Capcom 2 again, I just hope Capcom and Disney get to an agreement where they could re-release Mars Capcom 2
I I,
again.
I, I hope so, because I hear, despite how many problems, like, as a fighting game Marvel 2 has, it's still incredibly beloved.
It is. It's literally like, in my opinion, the best Marvel's Capcom game in the series. Like this game literally was just a huge thing, and it's just kind of like makes me sad that we never got a Marvel's Capcom 3 until 10 years later and stuff.
And we
When they
did.
released the trailer, I was just really hyped up. When they showed like Iron Man and the Hulk and
Magneto.
who was the third character? Oh, Wolverine. We're fighting against Morgan and Chris Redfield
Chris
and
Redfield, and then
Ryu. It was
then you
just,
had Dante fighting Deadpool. How perfect of a matchup could you have for that?
yeah, they had Deadpool versus Dante, dude. It was a really cool thing. But when Vanilla, which is the original Mars Capcom 3, I'll get to that later. Vanilla Mars Capcom 3 was, in my opinion, the gameplay was very good, but it was lacking in like, game mode pretty much. They just had an arcade mode, they had an online multiplayer and versus. That's pretty much it. They didn't have like, training mode. Well, I think yeah, they did have training mode. Like it was just, kind of like a mess because like with online, you couldn't spectate like the matches. So it was just, what the heck?
Hmm.
And all you just see is like freaking two player cards like dry humping each other.
You can put it like that, I guess.
Yeah, and there was this like a really huge mess thing, but I enjoyed it still with the gameplay. But then we just come to like it was just like the roster was okay, you know. A lot of people wanted like Mega Man back. They wanted
Yeah, that
you
was the
know,
biggest
some
mistake about Marvel 3 was the disinclusion of Mega Man.
yeah, and like other beloved characters like Cable, Cyclops,
Sentinel.
who else? I think it was Captain Commando.
Well, in the vanilla
Um,
version at least. In
yeah,
Ultimate though, like Ultimate had a bit more variety though, but it didn't. You know, there was still a few
yeah,
fan favorites missing, like Venom for one.
yeah, yeah. Venom's another one, and Strider, Vanilla Mist. But then I guess by the time I think it was E3 2010 or 2011,
Yeah, that was around
that's
the
when
time where it roughly got bought
yeah,
out by Disney.
yeah, and literally they've announced a second updated version of Marvel's Capcom, where everybody just got mad. Like they thought, like, oh, Capcom's uh, just being this money hungry company that just sells quick sell games and everything like that, like cash grab
Cash
money
grab, yeah,
games.
there we go.
Yeah, cash grab games and everything. But honestly, I thought when Ultimate Mario Capcom 3 was announced, I was pretty hyped up about it because they were gonna actually add spectator mode. They're gonna add all these other characters. They finally added Strider back. They
They
introduced
added Jill Valentine back, not the way
yeah,
everyone thought she would come back, but she's back.
yeah, she's back, but not like fully because she was literally like a clone of Cammy. So with all the kicks, she wasn't like that true Jill Valentine that we like love in Marvel's Capcom 2.
And to be
But
fair, that wasn't really the case in Marvel 3 though, because well, she was in her Wesker phase, I guess you could say.
right, yeah, like her mind controlled phase with that big red like spider robot on her chest, pretty much. And speaking of Wesker, oh my God, that guy was
You mean
OP
nothing
in
to
that
me.
game.
Our little inside joke
That
about that.
that dude, friggin', oh my God, dude, you mean nothing to me.
I don't know. You keep saying something. You keep saying that though. I must mean something to you.
Oh my God, dude, freaking Wesker was literally oh my God, dude, was literally like the funny part, especially Doctor Doom too. And then that's when, the series literally made Maximilian. Many of you guys know Maximilian as the guy, that fighting game guy that does boss rages and everything. But before all that, he was just doing like, tutorials on Marvel's Capcom 3 pretty much. And, he's pretty much like it's a great series. I definitely do recommend checking it out because not only that, it was like a tutorial. Sometimes, he would add like stories into it. Like, he would actually interact with like Doctor Doom and Wesker, which are literally like the best part about that series when they did that freaking rap battle.
Oh my god, and Doctor Doom's played by Simmons. Oh my god.
Yeah, it was just it was like a huge thing. Maximilian, ever since then, just, became a very popular YouTube in the fighting game community and everything. Is he's just been he's just been like a fun guy to watch. So yeah, but
He's still a lot of fun though. I still watch him to this day, and I'm not even
yeah, I
that
do
huge of a
too.
fighting game guy.
He's still popular and everything. I still watch his streams a lot. Yeah, but I guess after Ultimate Warrior Capcom 3, I don't know, like the series just kind of died. Like, for a while, we literally haven't like heard any new Marvel's Capcom games coming out. I think it was like back in 2016 is when they re-released Ultimate Marvel's Capcom 3 to the PS4 and Xbox One
With all the
store.
DLC.
E- with all the DLC and all the costumes pretty much. So yeah. So, ever since then, many people thought, oh, they're going to make another Mars Capcom game. And
Well,
they
well, they
did.
did.
Yep, they did. It was
They
called
did.
Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. The trailer dropped. It literally showed Ryu and, hey, surprise, Mega Man X.
Hey, so hey, they got
Not
one
Mega
thing. They got
Man,
one thing going for them.
like not Mega Man, but Mega Man X from the X series.
I mean, it
And
wasn't.
then they were duking it out with Iron Man and Captain Marvel. And then, a lot of people, like, they literally went back with 2v2, which I thought was okay. And then, like, they just
Yeah,
reintroduced the Infinity Stones, like, back in Marvel Superheroes fighting game.
yeah.
And
Honestly, I'm okay with them going back to like the 2v2 format, though. I mean,
I was too. I was okay with it too. A lot of people just kind of like were just, I don't know, freaking just making a huge deal about it. I'm like, oh, if you're like, that's how you know you guys didn't play Mars Capcom in the beginning. You just kind of just played Mars Capcom 2 and Mars Capcom 3. You didn't play it like when X-Men vs Street Fighter came out and stuff.
yeah. I
But
mean,
yeah, Mars Capcom Infinite though was kind of hit with controversy because
hmm
there was
wait,
rumors going around that they weren't going to add X-Men characters. They weren't going to add like
hold
Doctor
on.
Doom. They
Hold,
weren't going to add that's pretty much
hold on.
any like
Sorry,
they weren't going to add pretty much like all like beloved characters from the past and everything. I mean, and then those rumors became true. It was lacking in the roster. We they came out with a DLC and it was just Venom. That was the only returning character that came back. They literally, I think the only, like any other beloved character, like X-Men characters were gone. No Deadpool, no Wolverine, no Cyclops or anything like that. They've introduced new characters and stuff to the series. But the thing is, though, they've pretty much on the Marvel side, they've added, characters that we're going to have the movies for the MCU. You had like Gamora, which was new, which was from Guardians of the Galaxy, returning with Rocket Raccoon and everything. Doctor Strange returning, he had a movie around that time. And then they pretty much brought back Thor, Iron Man, Captain America, and stuff. And then in the Capcom side, a lot of beloved Capcom characters didn't really return. Just mostly like characters from like Marvel's Capcom 3,
yeah.
pretty much.
That's the thing I don't get about Marvel Infinite's roster. I mean, okay, I understand for legal issues they couldn't have any X-Men characters, Deadpool or Doctor Doom. Okay, fine, I can accept that. Where the hell did half of the Capcom characters go?
Exactly. Like we did not know what happened. They've just added Ryu, like and Chun-Li. I think those are the only two. Yeah, those are the only two Street Fighter characters and
Yeah,
stuff.
like there was no Akuma. There was I forgot what her name was, but there was the
Sea
new
Viper.
yeah. There was no Sea Viper. There was no Amaterasu. There was no Beautiful Joe. I don't
At all.
so
Like what the heck? Like what the heck happened?
There was no Felicia. There was no shoot, I know there's another one.
Hashenko.
Yeah, there was no yeah, there was no her. Capcom, you have all these characters. You don't have to limit yourself to this.
And ever since then, it's just been hit with huge controversy. And don't get me started with freaking the how it looks. Oh my god. Okay. When the story trailer released, everyone was focusing on Chun-Li's face.
Chun-Li's
Oh
face,
my god, Chun-Li's
Captain
face.
America and Spider-Man's lack of a neck.
I know, Captain America literally looked like he just took like a huge pound of steroids. Like he literally was buff as hell, dude. Like I'm like, what the hell happened? Like half of the Marvel characters literally look like they're sprites from a pay-to-win mobile game called Marvel Conquest of Champions. Like they literally look like that, They literally those characters look buff as hell. They literally, took the sprites from them and put it in Marvel Infinite and stuff. They made Dante's face look like a freaking pedophile or like a drug addict. I think either way,
It was to the point where Dante looked better for Dante.
Dante. They brought in Dante as a character skin.
Hey, and oddly enough, Dante looked like he had more effort put into his model.
But ever since the bad reviews and the just really bad the controversy of it, um, I think there was fingers pointed everywhere and everything, and it was just kind of like just been a really big, huge disappointment. Marvel Infinite literally missed Evo, the Capcom Championships, and this game literally was just not being mentioned at all by Capcom itself. There was also rumors going around that like Disney got involved with making the trailer, and they literally didn't want any Marvel characters getting beat up by Capcom. So it's like, I guess.
And can I just say the one thing though, that the one saddest thing to come out of this, in my opinion, is
What?
And despite all this, I mean, I haven't played take this with a grain of salt though, because I have not played Marvel Infinite though. But from what I've heard though, like from various different people who played the game and stuff like that, Marvel Infinite actually had some really fun gameplay behind it.
It did.
It was all ruined by everything else about it.
Yeah, I love the gameplay. I honestly do. I'm not saying it's a bad game in terms of gameplay. It just lacks so much roster, and it literally lacked, like, okay, arcade mode. Everyone knows how arcade mode is supposed to go in fighting games. You go through a gauntlet of challenges and everything, and then after you beat all that, you beat the main boss and everything. You're supposed to get like a character ending, like what they're gonna do after they, defeat the final boss. That literally never happened. They did not add a character endings to any characters. Like, they literally just slap in congratulations, and it shows the characters that you selected, and that was it. And roll the credits, I guess. Another bad part about it too is the soundtrack, because
I mean, there's some decent. I mean, there's some good songs in there though, but a lot of it though is lacking personality.
Yeah, Ryu. I love Ryu. Ryu's my favorite video game character of all time. I love his theme. I blast that on repeat all the time. Not really necessarily, but you know what I mean.
But I do it figuratively. I do it to show off my fanboyness, but in reality, I don't.
Yeah, but oh man, that's
I just said that after you got done saying you weren't a fanboy. My apologies.
Yeah, like Ryu's theme in Marvel's Capcom Infinite literally has to be the worst Ryu theme remix of Street Fighter 2. I'm saying that right now. It sounds horrible. Like, I don't even bother with it at all, It's like, I mean, and then everyone knows how the Marvel characters' themes are. You had Iron Man, Spider-Man, I mean. Everyone knows how his theme goes.
Nope.
They literally changed it. Like, they literally changed the character themes for the Marvel side. Like, they didn't stick with their original themes that they had from Marvel games in the past. Like, they just kind of went, I don't know, with some trying to sound it like, their themes from the MCU. Like, I think Captain America's like a remix. Yeah, like I think Iron Man's theme is literally like a remix of his theme from Iron Man 3, which I love that song, but I mean, it was just not the same at all. And then, like, when the credits roll, you actually could hear a remix of Captain America's original Marvel's Capcom theme along with Spider-Man with a little mix of Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, where was that? Where were those themes in those characters? Oh my god. Don't get me started on Dante's theme too.
I won't. No. But
no, I'm not gonna. But I do like how they did bring X versus Zero's theme from Mega Man X5. That was actually a good remix of it. Yeah. But that's all I gotta say. I mean, ever since then, they've released a DLC where it has Venom, Black Widow, Winter Soldier, and
Hey,
They didn't.
you notice
That's
that
all
it
the
doesn't even have like an even selection though. Like Marvel has two more characters though than Capcom does. You notice that?
Yeah,
Anyone else find
yeah,
that weird?
yeah. Like literally, it was more Marvel characters than a Capcom character. Like they just added three characters. Who did they add in that DLC? It was, I know it was Black Widow, Winter Soldier, and Venom. But from Capcom, who was it?
um, I don't even remember. Shoot.
Uh, but anyway, it was just like I got the deluxe edition, which was a huge mistake. I don't know why I got the deluxe edition, but it came with the season pass and everything, so I got all the characters and stuff. Oh, you know what? It was another character, another Marvel character, which is Black Panther.
Oh yeah, Black
So
Panther, and who was basically the
yeah.
Wolverine of the game.
Oh, from Capcom side, it was actually Monster Hunter. That was the only Capcom
Ah, there
character
you
in
go.
that roster. Yeah. Now I remember because I remember the story mode. I'll get to the story mode later, but I mean, ever since then, like they just haven't announced anything else. It's already been like I don't know, 6 months, 7 months, 8 months. I don't really remember, but
Yeah, and
they
they've
were gonna add. There were rumors saying that they're gonna add like a season two DLC characters.
mhm.
They're actually gonna add Star Lord. They're gonna bring back some X-Men characters, which I was really surprised. They're gonna, I forgot what other characters, but it never happened. Where were the DLC characters of that? Like it just. I even went one time to freaking the Capcom Capcom's website, and I put up the search bar Mars Capcom Infinite. Nothing came out. Nothing came out. So it's like, but then like it was just kind of like I guess it's like everyone's saying it's dead. There was multiple videos saying that Mars
Yeah.
Infinite was dead. But then just recently, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, where
Yeah, I was.
surprised there was an update.
There was an update, but all it does though is that it remove. I don't remember like all the details, but it removes a security system for the game, meaning it's easier for hackers to hack open the game. For what I so for the sound of it though, and to quote some naysayers on the internet, that's basically the sign that they've given up.
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, I wouldn't say officially it's dead. I'd probably have to wait and maybe until like I don't know, say E3 E3 next month. See if it's officially if they announce I don't know Ultimate Marvel versus Capcom Infinite or something.
Yeah,
But if
because
they don't,
which personally I think is a possibility though, because if I finish what you're saying, then I'll go ahead about the future of it.
but yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's officially dead. If I'll wait until E3, and if they don't announce anything at all, then it's officially dead. It's a
Yeah.
sad thing, dude.
But I guess to just give my whole stance on Marvel Infinite thing, though, I mean, again, I haven't played the game, though. But from what I've heard, though, a lot of people said that they have really enjoyed the gameplay, and I think that's truly, I think it's a truly sad thing to come out of it, though. Like, just to see a game just tarnished, though, just based on everything else about it, though, just not holding up, though, despite having redeemable gameplay. In my opinion,
Yeah.
I'm fairly optimistic about the situation. I don't think it's gone for good, though, because even though while it is lacking, I think shoot, I don't have the exact number down though, but it's lacking a double digits worth of Marvel 3's roster. I'm pretty damn sure they still have the code. They still have like remnants of the Marvel 3 characters on there though. So literally on like a few good months though, they could literally just port down. They could literally port all the missing characters from Marvel 3 into Marvel Infinite though, and that would guarantee at least some good sales from it.
Exactly. Like literally bring back fan favorite that we've just been demanding since Marvel Ultimate Marvel's Capcom 3.
Because just the removal of Wolverine in Marvel Infinite is like a Smash Brothers game with no Captain Falcon. Like that's how
Yeah,
much of an emphasis it is.
exactly. And it's literally like X-Men characters is what made Marvel's Capcom because they started out with X-Men vs Street Fighter, and you create a Marvel's Capcom game with no X-Men characters. It's like that's literally like I don't know, freaking how do I put this out? That's literally like um
It's like a Street Fighter game with no guile. Oh wait.
uh, no, they did it
Okay.
before. It's like a Street Fighter without Ryu. Even
Yeah,
though
there
they
you go.
almost did
Exactly.
not even though they almost did not add Ryu in Third Strike, but they decided to, but just not make him a main character in the game. So yeah,
Not to make not to make put any shots at Street Fighter 3 or any of its sequels or anything like that.
yeah. But we'll just have to
Because unlike
wait and
Marvel Imminent, Street Fighter 3 actually had good graphics. Okay, no.
yeah. But we'll just have to wait and see, if it's until E3 until it's officially dead or not.
Yeah, I have a feeling they're gonna do something with it though, because in my opinion, it seemed like it would be a little silly though to call it quits now though, because yes, there are a lot of naysayers and it's gotten a lot of negative feedback from it though. But to be fair, negativity usually speaks on the internet though. Just because hundreds of people are saying this thing sucks doesn't mean it actually truly represents like how everyone feels about the situation. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
But oh well, only time will tell on that situation.
Yeah.
But anyway, I guess to move on to our next topic.
Which is the MCU.
All right, do you want me to start off on this one?
Yeah.
All right.
Alrighty. Go ahead.
So the MCU is probably the one thing though that's probably drawn in a lot of people to Marvel and has probably been the main cause for turning a lot of people into Marvel fans.
Yeah, like literally before the MCU, Marvel's developed associated themselves with other pictures with 20th Century Fox with their X-Men series, Sony and Columbia Pictures with the Spider-Man series, and then of course the reboot Amazing Spider-Man, and then of course Universal with their two Hulk movies and stuff. I wouldn't count. I mean, I don't know. I don't know why they count Incredible Hulk in the MCU, but anyway,
which one? The 2003 one or the 2007 one?
The 2008 one.
2008 one. Okay.
Yeah, but and then before then came the release of 2008 Iron Man, starring Robert Downey Jr. Now, Robert Downey Jr. actually had a troubled past. And then, he redeemed himself with this role. Tony Stark, the billionaire playboy philanthropist. Literally, he, before he became Iron Man, he, sold weapons to militaries pretty much. He was like the government's go-to guy with, pretty much weapons in war and everything. And then I guess when he found out that these guys literally stole his weapons and used them for bad, they locked him. They pretty much
using it for propaganda and various other illegal war crimes.
Yeah, so pretty much, they kidnapped Tony Stark, and then, I guess when they exploded the van that he was in, I guess some shrapnel got into his chest and stuff, but I guess they stopped it with this thing in his chest called the arc reactor. And, he's pretty much kept prisoner in a cave. And then, he found this other guy that is also a prisoner that pretty much helped them, make the Iron Man suit, because they thought, the bad guys were going to think he was going to create a missile for them and stuff. But no, he created something that will help them escape and stuff. Sure, it costed his good friend that he met in the cave and everything. But, he turned pretty much scrap metal into like a suit of armor and everything, and thus began Iron Man. And then ever since then...
Sorry, it was another case of someone though who made a heel face turn though and decided to use their use their specialties though for a better cause.
And ever since then, Tony Stark decided that he wasn't gonna make weapons anymore. Instead, he was gonna use those weapons to pretty much help save the world and everything. And then Iron Man literally was a huge success.
In universe or in the box office?
pretty much in the box office. It was just, a really huge thing. I remember seeing the movie. I was just, oh my God, I was literally mind blown. I mean, I remembered reading the comic books and stuff. I actually did like Iron Man. I loved using Iron Man Mars Capcom. Um, Iron Man was just, one of my favorite heroes and stuff like that. I was kind of surprised that no one knew who he was until before the MCU started. But Iron Man was literally the start of the MCU. And then the end credits. Yes, there was end credits in that movie. Tony Stark goes in. Go ahead, sorry.
And thus began the, well, it didn't start the trend though, but sure as hell popularized the idea of putting extra scenes at the end of your credits.
Yep, it revolutionized the thing. So yeah, there was the end credits.
Sorry,
he was walking to his house, and then he meets up with a dark figure. And who was it? Samuel Jackson.
He's had it with these planes on this. He's had it with these motherfucking planes on this motherfucking snakes.
He's had it with these motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane. Where's my super suit?
That was a very stupid joke, and I don't regret making that stupid joke. The joke you made was way better.
But Tony Stark told him, "Who the hell are you?" And he's like, "Nick Fury, director of S.H.I.E.L.D." I was like, "Oh!" And then he was like, "I'm here to talk to you about the Avengers Initiative." I was like, "Oh, they're not going to." Oh my God. And then just blacked out. I'm like, oh my God.
You blacked out in the theater.
The Avengers. Oh my God. I was like so hyped up for that. Oh my God. And then Iron Man was a huge success. Started the whole MCU. Next movie was I don't get why the Incredible Hulk was a part of the supposedly it's the second movie in the entry. Incredible Hulk, starring Edward Norton as Bruce Banner / the Hulk, and stuff.
It's the only one out of the main 4 Avengers that has not gotten a sequel.
Yeah, like
unless you count Thor Ragnarok.
I guess because Marvel, because till this day, Hulk is still owned by Universal, so I guess Universal doesn't want to have them do a sequel of the whole, like a standalone Hulk movie or something like that. Like honestly, I don't know what Universal's doing with the property anyway. I think they should just give the rights fully back to Marvel and stuff, so you could finally get that World War Hulk. But we'll talk about that later.
I guess there was Thor Ragnarok that kind of was Planet Hulk.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, in a way it was. But Incredible Hulk starring Edward Norton, it was an okay movie in the entry. I kind of enjoyed it and stuff. It was just kind of like Edward Norton, I think, and I think the guy playing Thunderbolt Ross, General Ross, were the good thing about the movie. The other actors are just okay. Blake Lively as Betty Ross was just freaking annoying as hell. Oh my God. It's like I like till this point I don't know why it's considered it, because they just don't associate themselves with like Abomination or like Betty Ross at all. Like they literally I'll talk about the love interest about Age of Ultron later. But I guess in not really but I mean it did introduce some Easter eggs, and that will play a factor in the later MCU movies. The Super Soldier Serum, the same serum that gave Captain America pretty much his strength and abilities. And then of course I guess not really end credits.
I'm always angry.
It was still, yeah, it was like not really end credits. It was more of like just, I don't know, like added in or something like that. I guess when Tony Stark talks to like General Ross, telling him that he was putting a team together and stuff, and then General Ross was like, "Who's we?" And I kind of say something, but I of course, everyone assumed it was the Avengers pretty much. But I don't understand why Tony Stark would tell Ross or something. I don't know what it was. But anyway, next entry into the MCU was Thor?
Yeah, I believe it was Thor. Because afterwards, I think was Iron Man 2.
Oh, no, yeah, it was Iron Man 2. Never mind. It was Iron Man 2 was the entry. So I think took place 6 months after Iron Man 1. Pretty much Tony Stark was just, oh yeah, I forgot to mention the ending of Iron Man 1 where he told everybody that he was Iron Man. Duh.
Smart,
Yeah,
smart
at the
move.
ending of Iron Man 1 he told the world I am Iron Man and stuff. So he like fuck secret identities. But yeah. And the Iron Man 2 pretty much, is a big expo that he created to honor his father pretty much and everything. But of course, he's kind of had a little problem with his arc reactor because he can't find the right formula, to, I guess, keep the shrapnel from getting into his heart pretty much. And pretty much this arc reactor that he has just is killing him and everything. And you could tell, like, towards the end of the movie that it was affecting him a lot. You could see like the chest with all those wires and everything like that and stuff. His friends try to help him out, but he's not having it. He's just still being Tony Stark, this playboy party guy and everything. um Iron Man 2 didn't really have a very good villain. His villain was Whiplash, played by Mickey Rourke. um I guess because Mickey Rourke, after the sex of the wrestler, I guess that's when Marvel wanted him in the movie and stuff. Um, I mean, he wasn't really that great. And this kind of began the troll trend in the MCU of like just one-shot villains and stuff, because we
Well,
really never got.
earlier in the MCU.
Yeah, earlier in the MCU, we just got one-shot villains so far. We got three one-shot villains so far. So this one, Mickey Rourke was like, but I guess the other villain, if you could call him a villain or something like that, was, I guess, pretty much what Tony Stark does. I think I forget his name, but his last name was Hammer and stuff. And pretty much he
Hammer.
owns Hammer Tech, where he also makes weapons and everything. And then he tries to duplicate what Tony Stark does, is making an Iron Man weapon and everything, like pretty much what the whole world is trying to do, but they fail because,
They don't have the money.
they're not Tony Stark. So yeah. And then I guess, he gets in a fight with his best friend, Rhodey, and then Rhodey steals one of his suits, and then,
War Machine.
becomes War Machine pretty much and everything. And then, there's also the introduction of Black Widow as well, Scarlett Johansson, the hot Scarlett Johansson. Oh my God! I think Scarlett Johansson was a good part. Was one of the best parts in the movie as well. She literally, brought in Black Widow from the comic books to the big screen and everything. And even though, like, yeah, there's, oh, why'd they cast her? She's not Russian or everything like that. But hell, she did it perfectly. But yeah, Iron Man 2, in my opinion, I liked it at first, but I mean, it was an okay, when I watched it more, it was an okay movie and everything. So yeah. What you think about Iron Man 2?
I haven't seen it.
Oh, you haven't seen it? Never mind.
All I've seen of it though is a video called "Everything Great About Iron Man 2." That's the most I know about it.
Oh, okay. But yeah. So yeah, like ever slow, I guess War Machine and Iron Man, defeat Whiplash and everything. And then comes the end credits. What are the end credits this time? Actual end credits. You had to stay in the credits to get the secret. So one of the SHIELD agents, known as Agent Coulson, goes into the desert of New Mexico, and then he finds a crater. And what was in that crater?
A hammer.
It was none other. A hammer. Mjolnir. Many guys, I was freaking out. Me and my brother literally yelled out, Thor! Like we both, like when we watched that movie, when we stayed in there, we both just yelled out, Thor!
Oh.
The thunder strikes and everything. I'm like, oh my God. Thor. thus comes the next entry into the MCU, Thor,
Thor.
starring Australian actor Chris Hemsworth. Probably voted many times as People Magazine's hottest man of the year.
Sorry, George Clooney.
Right? Oh my god. But yes, Chris Hemsworth as Thor was just, oh my god, dude. I mean, okay, so pretty much everyone knows who Thor is. You know, he's, the Norse mythology god of thunder and everything. And of course his father, Odin, the king of Asgard and stuff. And then, it's, everyone knew who the Norse mythology pretty much and everything. And then of course they had his, well, he doesn't later in the movie, yeah, brother, but he doesn't. He later, figures out that he was adopted. Actually, he was actually a frost giant this whole time. Loki, the god of mischief, and stuff, played by Tom Hiddleston. And actually, this is one character that actually stayed alive,
mostly.
And Tom Hiddleston, in around that time, was considered the best MCU villain of all time, and stuff. We'll get to that kind of later. Yeah, we'll get to that kind of later. So Thor, so pretty much, Thor, being all brash and arrogant, was gonna be king of Asgard now and stuff. But of course, one action cost him that crown and everything, and thus Odin banished him to Midgard, or in his case, Earth, pretty much.
He kind of has an inferiority complex.
Yeah, and then he banishes him to Midgard and everything, stripping his power and everything, pretty much drawing his hammer. Whoever wields this hammer shall possess the power of Thor, pretty much. There was a couple funny scenes where, a lot of just regular people trying to pick up the hammer when they couldn't. I remember one scene where freaking Stan Lee was driving a pickup truck, cabling up the Mjolnir and everything, and then literally the back of his truck just kind of flew off. And then he looks back, he's like, oh, did it work?
It should have. I made the hammer.
Right? But yeah, so pretty much the movie just pretty much focused around just Thor's time in Midgard, pretty much. And then, Thor later figures out that, Mjolnir is around his area. Thor mates up with this three scientists and stuff. Jane Foster, what was the some old man, I forgot the old man's name, and some girl who's is from that TV show called Two Broke Girls. I just know Jane Foster.
Oh yeah, I know.
Jane Foster. Yeah, Jane Foster, played by Natalie Portman. Surprisingly, because Natalie Portman's. I took Natalie Portman as a serious actor. I don't want to guess why she would be in a comic book movie, since she just kind of came off from the Star Wars prequels and everything. So I was just really surprised that she was in that movie and stuff. So yeah, but yeah, they meet up and everything. Thor teaches her all about the 9 realms and everything like that. And then back in Asgard, I guess Odin enters the Odin sleep, where Odin pretty much sleeps for I forgot how long. I forgot. Pretty much, I think until he restores his power, pretty much. But there's a limit to when he sleeps, pretty much. So Loki, I guess, being that everyone still thinks he's he's literally everyone still thinks he's a blood brother, to Odin and stuff. But he later he figures out that he's a frost giant and everything. So yeah, so pretty much he takes over Asgard and everything. Kind of makes it a really bad place. Everyone doesn't agree with Loki ruling Asgard and everything, and stuff. And then
in typical Scar fashion,
yeah, pretty much he was a jealous brother who wanted the throne and everything and stuff. He was very jealous of his brother and stuff.
Wow!
So when Thor was
going to
go,
Trio podcast where we bring up Jeremy Irons. Okay. Back on topic
anyway.
Before we lose our minds on that.
Okay. But anyway, so Thor goes to I guess the we're gonna. So it goes back to like the end credits scene of Iron Man 2, where Agent Coulson finds Mjolnir and everything. So he sets up camp with other Shield agents and stuff. So Thor goes there to try to retrieve Mjolnir, but he's stopped by a few agents and everything. And then Coulson tells any someone uh someone go up in the crane with a gun, but you see a guy trying to get a gun, but then he later sees a bow and arrow, a purple bow and arrow. Everyone knew who this guy was. It was Hawkeye, the archer marksman of the Marvel Universe and stuff, played by Jeremy Renner, most notably known for his role in the Hurt Locker. I was literally like supportive of him being Hawkeye, because Hawkeye is like a cocky, arrogant, funny character and stuff. And when I watched the Hurt Locker in that movie, I was like literally, oh, he's gonna be a good Hawkeye and stuff. But anyway, this was like more of like a cameo role, so and stuff. And then like he's just like kind of like seeing like Thor beat him up. He's like, call it, Coulson, should I shoot him now or later? And everything. And then like I guess he kind of like as soon as Thor beat up all the agents, he was gonna pick up Mjolnir, realizing that he couldn't. So later on, he was arrested by the Shield agents and everything. Coulson trying to figure out who he is and everything. So yeah, Loki meets up with him, pretty much telling him that Odin has told him a lie, saying that Thor died, but he was still in the Odin. So he wanted to crush Thor's heart and everything. And Thor begged them to like have his powers back and return them to Asgard and everything. But of course, Loki, being the jealous brother, he told him, "Well, I can't take back the punishment of the previous Allfather." Somewhere around that terms and stuff. So yeah, and then I guess
that's when he was during his Thanos phase.
Yeah, exactly. And then, ever since then, I believe after that, that's when Loki sent over, which is Odin's Odin's destroyer, and he sent to over Earth to try to kill his brother and everything like that. So I guess the way the hammer works is someone with a true heart could wield Mjolnir. So what he did, trying to tell Loki, like, this is between you and me, and these people shouldn't shouldn't die and everything. Ever since then, I guess the destroyer blasts Thor, thinking he was dead, but now he could wield Mjolnir again. He saves Midgard, Earth, and everything with the help of his friends and stuff. They go back to Asgard and stuff, and then they have this just epic battle, and then I guess Odin wakes up from the Odin sleep and everything, and then I guess Loki just kind of like killed himself, and then we just thought he was dead, and many of us thought like, oh, this is another one-shot villain, but thus the end credits.
Nope. We get more.
Yep, the end credits. This time, I guess Nick Fury meets up with one of the scientists that Thor meets up with and everything. And then Nick Fury shows him the Tesseract. Or in comic books, it's called the Cosmic Cube. But I guess in the movie, in MCU, it's called the Tesseract. It's pretty much like a cube that pretty much could change. I guess
it has one of the Infinity Stones.
I think, no. The Tesseract pretty much I guess has the ability to kind of like change. If anyone taps into that power, I guess could change it to their reality or something like that or something. But yeah, so he shows them there and everything, and then does cut to, I guess, in the window. And the reflection of the Doctor was Loki. And then so Loki was still alive, and it's like, whoa. And then it was just crazy. But Thor was an alright movie for its first entry and everything. Chris Hemsworth did a good job as Thor and everything. Loki, Tom Hiddleston, did also a good job. Anthony Hopkins as Odin, oh my God, was just very perfect and everything. So yeah, I thought the movie was alright. They could have done better, They could have definitely done better. It was just kind of like mostly Thor adjusting to like, with uh mortals pretty much, and then it's just yeah, we didn't really see a action in it. So I mean, yeah, it was good for what it was. So yeah. Anyway, you think we could take a break? Hold on, I need to go to the restroom.
I mean, we can stop it now though and record this at another time. It is getting kind of late.
You sure?
Yeah. I mean, I still have all the recordings for us.
Alrighty then. I'm just gonna go real quick so we could talk about more, I guess, or something. Or do you need to go sleep right now?
Right now it's 11:30, and I gotta go to work tomorrow. So do you want to stop this and go and do this for another day?
Yeah, I'm done with that.
Okay. All right, so we'll see you guys in a little bit, though. But for us, it'll probably be a couple days.
Yeah.